everybody, and welcome back to the Broadway Jets YouTube channel. You'll know me from Twitter as NYJ Mike. I'm joined as always by the master of receipts, NYJ Matt. And Matt, in our first episode since Sandwichgate, we have some typical offseason activities to report on. Robert Saleh gave some comments today, so did Joe Douglas. The NFL implemented some new rules that we need to talk about. And we will discuss further what the Jets should do with the 10th pick. Exciting stuff. Come on.
Mike, we're back. I think we got 200 subscribers after Sandwichgate. So if you did join, thank you for coming along for the ride. If you haven't yet, you can hit subscribe completely free right down here, I think. But Mike, we are back. Some more football news. And where do you want to start? We got Saleh, JD, and Woody. Pick your path. Who do you want to go first? Because they all said interesting things about 2024 Jets upcoming.
I think let's start with Woody. Woody's most notable comment today was backtracking on the last thing he said about Zach Wilson, which was like, get this guy the fuck off my team. And he was like, some value.
Woody's best take, it was like he was one of us drunk by the pool in the summer talking about the Jets. There's a quote that he had where he's like, Garrett Wilson's the best receiver in football. Breece Hall is a monster. Aaron Rodgers is going to have 10 seconds to throw. Like, he was being like an insane person. And it reminds me of you and I talking on the beach, on the pool after a few beers. And that's what it feels like. Woody was like kind of charismatic. He always gives you a little bit more than you probably hope for from an owner. But when you have JD and Coach Saleh, you have Douglas, just nonstop coach speak, front office speak, it's kind of refreshing to have Woody give some type of personality in the interview, which he did. So, yeah, the biggest piece was Wilson and saying, hey, look, we're not just going to give up on him. He's an asset, which I think is the right thing to say for trade leverage. I don't see any scenario where he's on the team in 2024. I just don't. But Woody, I think, did a good job explaining himself.
It's already been, last offseason, we would have said the same thing. No chance Zach Wilson's on the team. Then he starts a bunch of games. I don't think it happens again. I agree with you. The Jets basically said, I think Saleh said it today, that they're going to add another quarterback, which makes sense. You go into the season with 3 or 4 guys. So maybe they'll draft someone. I don't know. It's not going to be Zach. I agree with you. The Buffalo Jet fan made a good tweet a couple of days ago regarding quarterback trades. One, like the guys that got dealt already. Mac Jones has one normal season under his belt. Fields is obviously a terrific talent and a great rusher. Who's the third quarterback that got traded? Oh, Pickett maybe? I don't know why Pickett has any value. That's kind of bullshit. But the problem with Zach Wilson is, you have to – the Jets are going to be on the hook for the money. They came out already, kind of made some statements that I just touched upon earlier in the offseason that they're going to get rid of him. And then now there's no takers. Who's going to eat that contract? Did you see the report that the Jets had received offers for him? Yeah. And they declined them? Woody denied that today.
Yeah, and Joe Douglas denied it too, saying that they haven't been really close yet on making a deal. Probably a scenario where the front office doesn't want to show how wrong they were, and they don't want to flip a 7th-round pick for Zach Wilson. They want to get a little bit more, but you see what the other people have gone for, and you brought up Mac Jones and Justin Fields, who have contributed not even more, significantly more in the NFL than Zach Wilson has. So Woody, again, the biggest takeaway from him, bring a little bit more energy, walked back a bit, like the must-win attitude he had at the NFL Honors Awards show, which at that time, he killed everybody. He was pissed during that award show, and now he seems like a little more laid back. And now
I think he likes the free agency, Matt.
Yeah, you could tell. And we'll go to Douglas next because I think Woody didn't bring that much more. Douglas talking about the Zach Wilson trade not being imminent, not saying that they're very close. And then the Clowney meeting, they kept saying how outstanding it was. He used that term like 3 times. What did they do? What is an outstanding free agency meeting?
He doing like pass rush moves in the office?
And they don't sign like a week. Like if it's that good, he probably signs already. But I get it. He's weighing his options. But
that's the other report I saw about Clowney was from Josina Anderson that he's a savvy vet. He knows his worth. It's going to take his time. Then she tweeted out like a jet plane emoji, which is annoying.
8 minutes after she tweeted that. So
Why do that?
why wouldn't we assume that? And then she goes, "I'm getting on a plane, guys.
So annoying, dude.
Read the room. Read the room."
She tweets like a Vikings helmet. She's like, I'm going to Scandinavia. Yeah. Asshole.
And then Douglas also brought up Huff and being part of the business. And Mike, when they traded for Will McDonald, we always felt the writing was on the wall a little bit, and then he pops off for a great year. I accepted the fact that Huff was gone in December. So I wasn't shocked, or I'm not that annoyed about it at this point. Use the money elsewhere. Oh, and CJ Mosley restructuring, being a hero. Great quote. And Mike, when you look
Give
at
the guy his flowers, man. Give him his flowers, you know?
I would argue past decade, if you're not looking at trades, but free agency moves in the past decade, Mike, has there been a free agent that stands out more than CJ Mosley that actually has contributed? And what was looking like a disaster 2 years in.
Dude, it was the worst contract ever in the beginning. So the first year, Mosley signs a giant deal. The Jets give – why am I so blurry? Whatever. Our subscribers are paying nothing for this content. The Jets signed CJ Mosley and Le'Veon Bell, the two worst. I mean, I wanted both of them at the time, but two not premium positions in the NFL. So they got huge contracts. Bell doesn't work out, but we really wanted that one, to be clear. Stayed up to like 2 a.m., whatever night that was. Was very happy about it. And then Mosley comes out, has that crazy game, plays like 2 quarters the whole first season, sits out for COVID. You're like, what the hell is going on? And now has a real chance to be like a Ring of Honor kind of Jet. He's going to play the next 2 years with the Jets. He's got guaranteed money. That'll be 5 seasons of just, if he could play full seasons. I don't know if he's going to be a Ring of Honor, but he's, it may be a little short, but it depends on how far the Jets go. But he's like an all-time Jet. And what a great contract it turned out to be. What a great dude. Awesome leader. Just have nothing but good things to say about CJ.
An unbelievable turnaround that we didn't expect in 2020 when the news comes out in August that he's not playing.
When the picture of him in Applebee's was the most annoying thing ever. And I don't know if people remember, but it was obviously some players were sitting out for the COVID season. And Mosley had just missed the whole 2019 season. And then he's like, I'm not playing. And then he's a picture of him in Applebee's. And you're like, what the fuck?
And the best part about it is he had the red hair. Like he had dyed his hair red.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, oh, it's an old photo from when he was at Bama. That's not him now. And there's like a charity event like a week before and he has red hair. So clearly it was during that time frame. But yeah,
dude.
Great Jet, great move.
It's like when Mets, when Cespedes opted out in 2020, started the season in 2020 for the Mets, opted out, and then is like walking around the mall. You're like, why you can't play baseball? You're in the mall?
It's crazy. It's crazy. Now, Coach Saleh, I think, had the most sound bites probably out of anybody.
Yeah.
And again, he throws in the coach speak a lot. And I think you could take a magic 8-ball and shake it up. And there's just sayings that he'll repeat over and over again.
It's like a wind-up doll. Yeah.
Yeah. One of his favorite sayings is you're either going to be fired or you have been fired. Or something like coach, what's happening next to him. It's coaches that are just fired or that are going to be fired. And then he brings up a quote that really bothered me. And he was fine. Like the whole thing wasn't that bad. We'll get into all the topics, but
I like some of his quotes, which we talked about before, but we'll get into it.
One quote stood out to me that really bothered me, and that is, if you don't make the playoffs, is it a failure? And he refused to agree with that statement. Now, if you're in year 1, Mike, that's fine. And even year 2, you can make that case. But at a point in time, if you're in year 4 of being a head coach, a lot of coaches would say, not only is just making the playoffs a failure, if we don't end the season holding the Lombardi trophy, that's a failure. And I don't believe that. You can get minor wins and, hey, you win your division. You win a playoff game. That could happen, and you don't reach your ultimate goal, which doesn't mean it's an automatic failure.
Everyone's trying to win, right?
Don't make the playoffs this year. That is a clear failure on everybody because not only – like if something happens to the quarterback, you still have proven that your team's good enough to win games, and you're not doing it. And teams can survive with a backup quarterback, and they just haven't been doing that. So that was the one quote that stood out to me. And maybe he's doing like the coach speak, and everything's okay.
I think he just hates literal things like that, which I tend to. This is so unpopular. It's an unpopular quote from Saleh. It is. It's time. You got to make the playoffs. It's just funny. Like I always think, I'm like, man, what if they go 10-7, just play great football, and they just miss? Like, I don't know. It's just not good. I guess it's not good enough. You're fired. But I guess he just doesn't want to say that before the season. I don't mean to defend that quote. I get it, but it's too much time. It's a presidential term already. This is his 4th year. You know, it's like you could have went to college in that span.
Joe Douglas, year 6, Mike. It's time, and we all agree it's time.
It's time.
And now
then
we
the
go. We
others,
said,
yeah. No. It is. There's no more. Yeah. But some of the other comments, Matt, that I didn't dislike.
Go.
The Corey Davis, door's always open. Why not?
Fine.
Cheap wide receiver 3. The Keith Carter stuff, the offensive line coach, he basically came out and said that Keith Carter is like an abrasive dude. And he said that he had success as the Titans. So Carter was the offensive line coach for the Titans. They had a lot of success running the ball. Carter leaves. They have less success. He thought the Jets did a good job down the stretch running the ball. Not untrue. The Jets obviously didn't run the ball great last year. But he said that his message sometimes might get lost because he's a dick, is what I interpreted the quote as. And he's working on that as a person. And for my second Mets analogy of the program, Terry Collins was the Mets manager when they went to the World Series in 2015 and had some success. Prior to that, he was the coach of the Astros and interim coach of the Angels and had a very bad reputation as a person. He was like an asshole. And then completely changed his tune. His message got through when he was with the Mets, and it worked out. Hopefully something similar happens, you know? So.
I like the analogy, Mike, and I'm hoping you're right. You just hope that something like that can click sooner. And it appears some of the problems with Keith Carter and treating veterans with off days or however he did it in Tennessee, that veterans really didn't like him. And if you look at the Jets offensive line, the 2 veterans they have to stay healthy or we're dead. So maybe he can be a dick and that's fine in the meeting room. Maybe he's going to improve on that, but he's got to improve on the overall health of the team.
Yeah, man, I don't think Tyron Smith had like a full week of practice last year. There's some stat that was out there. Maybe he practiced like 4 or 5 times other than like not on a Friday. I don't know. I got to find the exact stat, but he's not a full-time practice guy at this stage.
And he shouldn't be, right? And
who cares? Never practice.
Fine by me. And speaking of injuries, Robert Saleh or Joe Douglas, one of them brought up looking at training, looking at the deep dive into how to fix O-line injuries. Mike, I'm sorry. I think they're kind of fluky. They just happen.
Shit. Yeah, of course.
They just happen. And if you get injury-prone guys and they get injured, that's fine. But a guy like AVT never got hurt in college at all and was fine his first year with like a few minor injuries. And then boom, tricep, boom, Achilles. Like, is that because of his training or is it bad luck on a shit field in Denver? Like, I don't know what it is.
The other thing, too, that is funny in hindsight, not at the time, but we were talking about if AVT might have gotten hurt because he moved positions. And we're like, he's just like standing like in the world. Like, it doesn't matter if he's like playing. I guess the technique might be a little different, but he's just standing like in a field. Like, and if he's moved like 1 foot to the right or left, would his triceps not tear? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely the technique is different, and Saleh even attributed to, I don't know if that is the reason. Like, he didn't deny it. Or me and you were both like, he's just blocking someone. He's like a foot to the left, and
he's just standing in a different spot. Like, what if I do the podcast over there? I'm gonna straighten my vocal cords. I don't know.
But that year where every tackle got hurt in 2022, like every tackle. Is it because they were hurt before, or it was like a fluky shit year where a cluster injury kills you at a position of need and you have a lot of depth in? Like, that could just happen. It might happen to the Jets a lot.
You have Dwayne Brown who plays every game for a million years in a row, and then he comes and he just gets hurt, and he's old. But he was old. If he was 38 and not 39, people would still say he's old, and he got hurt, you know. And he played 17 games the year before. So
yeah, if you get old and injury-prone guys, it doesn't surprise me if they're hurt. They don't play every game. It is like to the level that happens to the Jets, I think it blows. And yeah, if they're going to do a deep dive in it again, they've done a deep dive since 2019 to why they have injuries. You can't even chalk it up to the field. The turf is terrible. And I said I'm going to take all the money I made and put it towards a new turf, and that's what the Jets should do.
That was a great tweet. Basically, the tweet, if anyone missed it, some independent third-party account tweeted that the Jets social media account made like $950,000 from your sandwich tweet, and you were like, send it all into the turf. Just so heroic, dude.
And to be fair,
I asked him for a box suite.
I've done a really good job of I think I've done a good job of not overplaying it, like very much transitioning away from it after a couple of days and doing a few of the radio shows. And I feel like I was on the Jet Avengers, like Boy Green, Jake Assman, Jets Talk 24/7. Like I hit every.
We can't
show.
say what. Remember that one tweet when we went on the podcast with all of them? No, I can't say it. It's terrible. It was messed up.
Oh yeah, I do. That was very
The
funny.
Avengers Endgame of blank. Can't say.
Yeah, that was good. But I think I've done a pretty good job not making that the whole thing and going on too much. And then I'm at a wedding Friday night, and they're giving out pork roll / Taylor ham, egg and cheese sandwiches as like the parting gift for the wedding. And I tweeted out, and one of the replies was, he's doing the sandwich tweet again with like SpongeBob smoking a cigarette. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, brother, I get it. Yeah. But how do I not bring it up as that's happening, like as a parting favor at the wedding? Like, what are the odds of that?
You have to.
But I thought the meme was funny itself.
It is funny, but like, no, you did not beat a dead horse. Could have. You definitely could have.
Some people would have. Some people
might have.
A few.
Not
naming names, but there's people out there that probably would have beat this to the ground and thought they were like the Messiah, which I feel like Paul Atreides after that happened, like just full on.
I didn't watch it. Don't spoil it. I still haven't seen Dune 2. Dude, what was I going to say? But maybe some other things will come of this. Maybe we'll have some more opportunities to make some content based on Sandwich Gate. We'll see.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Maybe. Things are in the works. We'll see.
Maybe. I should follow up on that. Did
you?
I have not. Ever since we were told to, hey, today's not going to work. If you're picking up what we're putting down, we were close to getting a very special guest that we thought we had Thursday. And it didn't happen.
I told some people too. I was flaunting it, dude.
I told people, but I kept saying I don't think it's going to happen.
I had to like show some text too, just to make sure. Like they're like, this guy's a fucking idiot. Like he's lying. I was like, no. Like maybe we have some text. Like he was gonna come.
How are you gonna get him? Well, my friend Matt sent a door to. They probably think you're on drugs.
Oh man,
dude. The only other thing, Mike, is I like the solid quote of off-season championships don't matter. Very aware of the fact that we win the offseason every year. You have to translate the wins on the field. And then Mike Williams not going to be ready for training camp, but on that Breece Hall type schedule where you assume you can get him for week 1. And Mike, that's where the Corey Davis move pays more dividends, because if you bring him in to be that big body guy outside of Garrett Wilson, right? And maybe you draft a guy on day 2, day 3. That can be that. I don't trust Xavier Gibson playing meaningful snaps on a win now Super Bowl roster. So what I would love is if you have Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, and Corey Davis, it'd be very cool. And you're probably missing that 50 slot guy. And as a backup, Mike, I can live with Allen Lazard being the 4th receiver. I can live.
Of course. No, you can. And also, Garrett Wilson can just be the slot guy too in these formations, which is so fine. I think Corey Davis makes a ton of sense. Knows the team, familiar, easy transition. Depends on the money. But also, it really depends, Matt. Like, where are you right now on the 10th pick?
I was about to ask you. The 10th pick,
Mike, every second. Yeah.
It has only 5 scenarios in my mind.
There's 5.
And it is tackle, wide receiver.
Yep.
Brock Bowers.
Yep.
Trade down.
Yep.
Trade up.
Exactly.
And right now, if you're asking me on March 25th at 7:10.
Yeah, I did. I just did.
I'd trade up. And it's an unpopular take. I'm very much in the fact that I don't care anymore about a future second round and day 3 pick, even a future 1 pick. If I can get Marvin Harrison Jr. or I can get Joe Alt to solidify a blue chip player on this current roster, I'm doing it, because Mike, there's not that many holes left. Give me a running back 2 in free agency. Give me a bigger defensive lineman to stop the run. I want to win now. And if Marvin Harrison Jr., say it doesn't go great this year, something happens, okay, you still have the number one receiver prospect the past 10 years and Garrett Wilson together for what, 5 to 7 more years. I could live with losing a little bit of draft capital because Joe Douglas is hit or miss on first round picks. He is. He's great one year. He's terrible the next two. So, Mike, give me right now, which is very unpopular. I would probably trade up, and I'm okay with not trading back, getting the fourth tackle, getting a second round pick. I want to be more aggressive than that.
I think the argument you can make the best possible 2024 Jets team, I think, has Marvin Harrison and David Bakhtiari on it. I think.
Mike, it would be because not only is Bakhtiari that backup, Max Mitchell and Carter Warner now like your fourth tackles who've played meaningful snaps. So if everything goes right, like you could have them be filling guys. And David Bakhtiari is not going to play unless one of the other two guys get hurt.
And you figure, even though they did not do this last year, which is hilarious, but you figure that Tyron Smith and Bakhtiari can combine to play 17 games as like one Pro Bowl left tackle, which they did not. They only got 14 combined last year, which is hilarious. But yeah, and Marvin Harrison is insane. So yeah, that would be amazing. The other way, I mean,
I have a question for you. Can you do that trade up and take Joe Alt, knowing you're waste capital next year for a guy that when everybody's healthy, you're gonna have to find a way to fit him in?
I would also do it, yes.
Okay.
But you have to really love Alt more than the other guys. It has to be a no-brainer. This guy is the blue chip number one prospect. If it's close between him and one of the other guys, just wait. So you're just wasting resources.
But is there ever a blueprint for that path where you have a win now roster with everyone completed, right? Like if everybody's healthy, your offensive line is completed.
And a lot of guys are here for next year too. To your point.
But has a team ever been that good that was able to net that high of a pick, given they trade up, and then had a tackle of that caliber sit? Because I feel like good teams that pick 30, pick 28, they can draft a good player that can sit for a year, contribute a little bit.
Right, but
it's weird. It's a weird scenario. It's like, you're going to trade up for 5 and have a guy that like fills in. Maybe he plays right tackle, maybe more. It's like, it's a weird.
That's the thing. It's if he's that good too, it's like he can't sit.
Right.
Which is fine. You're just not making your team exponentially better this year. Probably. The good thing about taking Alt or one of the tackles is in all likelihood, Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, even though Morgan Moses is a relatively healthy guy, they're not going to play all 17 games, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not. So it's like you give yourself ultimate insurance. You can't be destroyed by one of your offensive linemen getting hurt. You can't. Then you're fine. But that's a great question. Like if you're a contending team and you trade up to take a guy, you're not going to sit him for a year, which the Jets kind of would be on track to do, unless I don't know, put him at guard. Fuck John Simpson. He could be the 7th to 6th guy.
Yeah, but Mike, where do you stand? So say you don't move, you don't trade up, trade down. What would you do?
The sexy thing about Bowers is he's the quote unquote biggest upgrade you can get at that position, at that spot. He's probably in a better place to outproduce Conklin by more than one of these receivers would outproduce whoever they're replacing, Mike Williams. So I think I would take a tackle though. I think I'm staying put. Like if the Jets are picking 10, I'm probably just going to take a tackle. If you want to trade down and take Bowers, I get it. And then you get another pick. Maybe you could take a tackle with that pick. Get some more depth. Will help. But I think I'm just going to take a tackle at 10. My main argument against that is just sign Bakhtiari and then do whatever else you want with the pick. But long term, it's definitely not as good. It would be nice, 10th overall tackle is not a joke. What if you draft Tristan Wirfs? Where do you go 11th or 13th? And then then you have this guy also in the mix for the next 5, 6, 10 years. It's exciting. It's a good spot.
Yeah, and the Jets' interest in Michael Mayer a couple years ago, it makes you think, okay, they are looking to really upgrade at tight end. If you were to make me rank, and I did rank this, I forget, the U Stadium guy Nick had I gotta remember his name, but he tweeted out his ranking of who he wants the Jets to take. Mine would be Marvin Harrison Jr. 1, Joe Alt 2, Neighbors 3, and then I can coin flip between Rome and Olu. Like any given day, I could be swayed into taking either one of them. Then it's Bowers, number 6. Then you get into the territory of Fuaga, Fatnow. You start going through guys where you'd probably feel a little bit better trading down. Like the
Latham.
sexy pick isn't to take. It was maybe a month ago before free agency, but taking Talise Fuaga and having him sit for a year, taking him at 10, doesn't feel like you're contributing enough. Whereas if you take Rome, you know you have a guy, a tight build that's pretty good opposite Garrett Wilson, and now you have Mike Williams as a big body threat. The three of them, I think, could play really well together.
It would be funny in a not funny way if the Jets have Rodgers for 2 years and just draft two guys that don't contribute in the first year. But
It would be
but
very.
the offensive line insurance, especially after the last couple of years, I can't fault them. I really, truly, if whatever they do in those 5 scenarios, if they do any of those things, trade up, trade back, Bowers receiver, or take a tackle at 10, I'm literally fine with any of it. I honestly am fine with any of it. It will, my opinion will be swayed by whatever subsequent move they make.
Yep.
So if they do draft a tackle, go get Corey Davis. If you get Bowers, you got to get back TRE, or you got to get some other really solid swing tackle, stuff like that. So, but got to tip the cap to Joe Douglas. He put himself in an unbelievable spot, and we were nervous. The offseason game plan was there: 3 linemen and a receiver, and then fill the other spots with bullshit. And he's done that and more without using the 10th pick. We always assumed that one of that the 10th pick was going to be a starting tackle. Doesn't even have to be now.
You're right. And we'll do a full breakdown of the 10th overall pick. We'll get some new guys on. We'll do a mock draft. We'll have some fun with it. But, Mike, I think we did a good job recapping the owners' meetings. If you did make it this far, I always throw it out there for anybody that makes it to the end of the video. DM myself, DM Mike on Twitter. We'll make sure to follow you back. We'll make sure to, if it takes a couple days, sometimes it goes to the message request and I don't see it. So I'll be sure to check it out. But I got a lot of DMs around everything the last week, and I'm trying to catch up on all of them. I also saw videos I didn't know happened, like Rich Eisen. I didn't know that there was a full 10-minute breakdown that he did on it. Found that out a couple days later.
Oh, really? On the sandwich? I didn't see it either.
You know how he narrates one Jets drive and the hard knocks.
Rich Eisen is the best celebrity Jet fan. Maybe not. And I was talking to my buddy about this. Maybe not the coolest. Like there are cool actors who love the Jets. He is like the best, I think, normal Jet fan. Like as a famous guy.
Yeah, no one stands out. People go to Gary Vee. People
Gary
go to
Vee is great
Gandolfini's
too.
kid.
Gary Vee is great too. The video of Gary Vee dropped of him doing all that Jets trivia. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's like one of the Instagram guys. Unbelievable. That's really hard.
The top 5 tight end yards in history.
Yeah, it's tough. I think we would get it, but there was some. It was like quarterback rushing yards. Richard Todd immediately. I don't know if it would have been the first guy I guessed. Stuff like that. Just tough, dude. Very impressive. Shout out to Gary Vee.
All right, Mike. Very fun time. Have a good night, buddy. Everybody, thank you for watching.
Jet up.
We'll talk soon.
Jets.